Xander was an ordinary man, living an ordinary life until one fateful day when everything changed. He was a scientist working on a top-secret government project, developing a serum intended to enhance human abilities. The project was dangerous, and many warned him against it. But Xander, driven by a desire to make the world a better place, volunteered to be the first test subject. The injection was intense, coursing through his veins like liquid fire. Xander writhed in pain as his body underwent a dramatic transformation. His muscles expanded, his senses sharpened, and his bones were reinforced with a metal stronger than anything known to man. But the most significant change was in his hands. Where once there were ordinary fingers, now extended razor-sharp claws made of pure, unbreakable iron. Xander had been given unimaginable power, and with it a choice. He could use his new abilities for selfish gain or to protect those who could not protect themselves. Despite the dark urges that the serum sometimes awakened in him, Xander chose the path of the hero. He would become Ironclaw, a defender of the weak and a warrior against evil. It wasn't long before Ironclaw's first real challenge presented itself. Across the city, reports began to surface of a mutant with the ability to unleash destructive lasers from his eyes. This mutant, known as Lazarin, had been terrorizing the city, reducing buildings to rubble and causing mass panic. Ironclaw knew he had to stop Lazarin before the entire city was destroyed. Tracking him down to an abandoned industrial district, Ironclaw confronted the mutant in a face-off that would test the limits of his newfound power. Lazarin's eyes glowed with a menacing red light as he sneered at Ironclaw. "You think you can stop me? Metal man, I'll burn you to ashes." Without warning, Lazarin unleashed a powerful laser beam from his eyes aimed directly at Ironclaw. But Ironclaw was ready. With lightning-fast reflexes, he dodged the beam, his iron claws sparking as they scraped against the concrete floor. The battle was fierce. Lazarin fired beam after beam, each one more destructive than the last. But Ironclaw was relentless, using his enhanced speed and strength to close the distance between them. He knew he couldn't let Lazarin gain the upper hand. Finally, Ironclaw saw his opportunity. As Lazarin prepared to fire another blast, Ironclaw launched himself into the air, slashing at Lazarin's eyes with his iron claws. The strike was precise, and Lazarin screamed in pain as his laser vision was neutralized. With Lazarin disarmed, Ironclaw delivered a final, devastating blow, knocking the mutant unconscious. The city was safe once again, but Ironclaw knew this was just the beginning. Word of Ironclaw's victory over Lazarin spread quickly, and soon other villains began to emerge from the shadows, each more dangerous than the last. One by one, Ironclaw faced them, determined to protect the innocent and uphold justice. There was Blackout, a mutant who could manipulate darkness, plunging entire cities into pitch blackness and attacking from the shadows. Ironclaw fought him in the heart of a blackout, relying on his heightened senses to track and defeat the elusive enemy. Then came Tremor, a mutant who could create earthquakes with a single stomp. Tremor's goal was to bring the city to its knees, literally. But Ironclaw, with his unbreakable claws, was able to dig deep into the earth, stabilizing the ground and preventing the massive quakes from tearing the city apart. Each battle took its toll, but Ironclaw remained steadfast. He knew that his powers were a gift, not a curse, and that he had a responsibility to use them for good. As Ironclaw's fame grew, so did the number of enemies who sought to destroy him. But none were as dangerous as Omega, a mutant with the ability to absorb and amplify the powers of others. Omega had one goal: to absorb Ironclaw's abilities and become unstoppable. The final battle took place in the heart of the city. Omega, having already absorbed the powers of several other mutants, was a force of nature, capable of leveling entire blocks with a single thought. But Ironclaw knew that he couldn't let Omega win. The fight was brutal, with Omega using a combination of powers to overwhelm Ironclaw. But Ironclaw refused to give up. He fought with everything he had, pushing his abilities to their limits. And in the end, it was Ironclaw's unbreakable spirit that gave him the edge. With one final, desperate strike, Ironclaw plunged his claws into Omega, neutralizing the villain's ability to absorb powers. But the victory came at a cost. The effort of the battle had drained Ironclaw, and he knew his time was running out. As he lay on the ground, surrounded by the wreckage of the city he had sworn to protect, Ironclaw smiled. He had done what he set out to do. He had used his powers for good, and he had saved countless lives. And in that moment, he knew that his sacrifice was worth it. Ironclaw's story did not end with his death. His legacy lived on, inspiring others to rise up and fight for what was right. Statues were erected in his honor, and his name became synonymous with courage and selflessness. And though the world would never see another hero like Ironclaw, his spirit lived on in the hearts of those who continued his fight. The world was a better place because of him, and his story would be told for generations to come.